Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at a copy of Savage Dragon. This is 263. I love this cover. Look at that. That's Mako. That's Mako the shark guy. And this is the new Savage Dragon, Malcom Dragon. Although he's not new anymore. He's been around for a while. Time is flying. This is Image Comics. What's the price of an Image comic now? $3.99. So $4 for a copy. Here you go. Let's open it up. Let's look at the credits. Eric Larson, Jack O'Reilly. I can't even read that. Jeez, that font. Nikos Kautis. Oh man, this font's killing me. So there you go. You can read it yourself. I'm not gonna read them to you. Okay, and let's look at the indicia. This is brand new. This is February 2023. So this is brand new. This is not the current. The current issue is 264. But I wanted to showcase this for a couple of reasons, and believe it or not, you'll see why. I'll point it out. Okay, so this is the splash page. So for those of you who do not know, the Savage Dragon is a childhood creation of Eric Larson. Eric Larson kind of rose to fame. He was like the follow-up artist to Todd McFarlane on The Amazing Spider-Man. If memory serves me correct, he took over Amazing Spider-Man when Todd McFarlane started his own Spider-Man #1, just called Spider-Man, and Eric Larson was a rocket star, a rising rocketing star. Geez, that was difficult for me to say because I've been up for 24 hours. Why do I do these videos when I'm tired? I'll never learn my lesson. So anyway, he was on his way to becoming a big deal. And then he became one of the, he went over to Image Comics. He's one of the, what is it, 7 founders of Image Comics? You know, it's almost like a comic book legend, the 7 founders of Image Comics. But I think he went over with Todd, he went over with Rob Liefeld, and good for him. And he started his own comic, which was this comic right here, Savage Dragon. And I don't know what's going on with him, but he has it in his head that he is going to become the longest running single. Well, I'll keep on the cover while I'm talking about this. He wants to become the longest running comic book run of all time. And a run of comics is an uninterrupted numbering of comics. So from 0 to 263, it's all Eric Larson. He wrote it, he drew it. I think he might have had some help inking it once in a while, but for the most part, Eric Larson is the solo man behind the Savage Dragon, and kudos for him. So a run is an uninterrupted string of comics in a row. But the longest run in comic books history by the same team is Cerebus, which is Dave Sim. He was a one-man show, and then he hired somebody to do the backgrounds, whose name, Gephardt, I think is his name. But Dave Sim has a 300-issue run of Cerebus the Aardvark, and that is the longest comic book run. The second longest is Jack Kirby and Stan Lee on Fantastic Four. I think they won 101 issues. Eric Larson it's his challenge to beat Dave Sim at a run. I don't know why. This comic is selling terribly. I can't imagine it's profitable. I can only imagine that it's continuing and not being canceled because Eric Larson is the chief financial officer of Image Comics. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've been wrong before, so you're not going to hurt my feelings if I'm giving out wrong information. But that's what I heard, and I tried to verify that, and the places that I went are kind of backing me up, but I don't know. I can't. I think this sells like less than 2,000 copies a month. Now, when this first came out, I've been on board since there was a 3-issue miniseries, and then it started over again at #1, and it's up to 263 now. I thought it was fabulous, and it was selling like gangbusters. It was a great series, and his art was dynamic. It was his own vision. The characters aged it in real time, and it was, I thought, I don't want to say an important comic. There's few comics that I say are important, but I will say it was a quality, fun superhero comic. Savage Dragon was nobody knew. They just called him Savage Dragon. He didn't know. He just woke up in a burning field, and it was like big green guy with the fin. And like I said, Eric Larson made up the character as a child, and he brought a lot of his childhood characters. So it had a lot of childhood fun. I don't know if whimsy is the right word, but like a whimsical nature to it. And his art was reminiscent of like John Byrne for a while. And then, I don't know, he went through scratchy periods, he went through rush periods, and ebbs and lows. And then he went through a really weird, I hate to say this, but if you'll check it out, it like a kiddie porn. So let's get into it. So the main dragon is dead. He died, and this is his son. Savage Dragon, one of his powers is he's super regenerative. Like he makes Wolverine look like an amateur when it comes to regenerative. So part of that is he's very fertile. So when he has relations with the ladies, he gets them pregnant, and then this is one of his child. So he's Savage Dragon is a big green space alien. He did the Love and Dubbin on Rapture, a black woman, and now he is a mix of like a human and I forget the race of dragon. Turns out that the dragon, before he lost his memory, was a horrible like conqueror, like, you know, just going around enslaving and raping women and stuff. And they had enough of him. They basically shot him in the brain, the old Wolverine style, mushed up his brains, and left him for dead on Earth. And when he woke up, he became a good guy with no memory of his past. So that's his origin. Later on, he sired Malcolm. This is his son. His son's now an adult, and this is his girlfriend. Now they draw her like a little girl, and like it was full on X-rated comics for a while. I don't know what's going on in Eric Larson's head, but it was like, ooh, you know, it was kind of cringy. And he makes fun of it now, but it's like, dude, you're an adult. You're almost 60 years old. You know what you're doing. But anyway, and I keep threatening every month that I'm going to quit Savage Dragon, but I hate saying this because it's not true, but I always say I have like obsessive compulsive tendencies. I'm not going to self-diagnose myself like everybody does these days, but I think every comic book collector is a bit obsessive. So consider what I'm saying. So I can't stop. Part of me wants to make it to 300, a nice round number, and then I'll reevaluate. Maybe Eric Larson will make it to 301 and then stop. I don't know. I can't imagine this comic's making him any money. So, and believe it or not, this is actual good art because it got really bad for a while. Very, very scratchy. So what's going on? He's talking to his wife over here. They're married. They have kids. And one of the things I do like is the realistic consequences of some powers. You know, he is a being that can lift an unspecified number of tons, like 50 tons or something like that. So when she was pregnant with the kids, that I think it was triplets, and then later on she had another solo kid, she was in danger of like the kids kicking through her and tearing her apart. And then when they were infants, they displayed their strength. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So she was in real danger by her own children. And I liked the logical consequences of a world with superpowers. So now we got this freaky kid running around that looks like one of Savage Dragon's kids, but it's not. This prostitute winds the kid off, and then she gets murderized by Mako. Mako is one of the original villains for this. He's like, I think Eric Larson made him up as a kid. And he's a shark man. He's a Mako shark. He's going around eating people. That's what shark people do. This comic has been not shy about showing death and consequences of superheroic actions. People are getting punched and blood, So, and then that with the, all of a sudden, like one day there was just like a lot of nudity and full frontal X-rated porn. And it was a shock, whatever. And I think at that point, I was like a year behind, so I had like a stack of 12. So I was like, oh, God, I have to read my comics when I get them. So when Trump got elected, Savage Dragon and his family moved to Canada because, that's the way it is. I guess Eric Larson has a problem with a president that doesn't start wars and a president that... reduces taxes and full employment, but whatever Eric Larson, I guess you like Joe Biden, who starts wars and raises taxes and unemployment's going through the roof. But anyway, this is another character, Smasher, and there's always like panty shots and stuff at her. When she was 15 years old, there was topless pictures of her with 50. It's just Eric Larson's kind of creep, and he's lecturing other people. But this is horrendous. She died of COVID. Eric, he gave his blood to her, and it caused a mutation because, whatever. he wears his politics on his sleeve, and it gets really annoying. And he does everything wrong with comics. Very, very Partisan, very, very one-sided, very like portrays the other side as strawmans and buffoons and idiots. But my compulsion is stronger than my revulsion. How was that? Oh, that's a good. There you go. My compulsion is stronger than my revulsion. So there you go. So they're setting up of him coming back to California because now that Biden's president, everything's good again. There's what do you want me to say, guys? I'm sorry. I already chased away a couple of subscribers with my politics. I told my wife I wasn't going to do it, and I'm weak. So in Lake Toronto, Mako is just killing people. And I actually feel bad. They set up a nice conversation. These people talk about how nice their life is, and Mako eats them. And then this is Eric Larson's kitty Asian fetish girl. That's Malcom Dragon's wife. These are his cute little kids. Rapture has electrical powers, and Malcolm inherited the electrical powers, but Malcolm's an adult. He could control them. These little kids, they can't control them. So, not only are they super strong, not only can they regenerate, not only are they precocious little children, but they display electrical abilities. So you can, and I don't blame her. She's kind of afraid of her own children. And I find that to be like a realistic touch, so she's always asking for like superpowered babysitters and help, and I do like that dynamic in the family. I love logical consequences in fantastical stuff. It's neat. I'm not gonna. There are things I don't like about the comic book, but obviously there's things I do like about the comic. And it's kids are having a nice day at the beach. They're playing, and then this stuff comes. She's always horny. Okay, she's always horny, and I can understand him being always horny because he's got these superpowers, super regeneration. His body's always in like hypermetabolism. I can understand. She's like a sex freak. She's got problems. Matter of fact, they actually addressed it in a couple issues that she needs therapy for being such a sex freak. But here she is. Just families all around, and she doesn't care. Let's do it in public, and everybody could watch. Come on. There's having a high sex drive, and then there's just being whatever. Your kids are around here. Other people's kids are around here. Have some decorum. Yeah, I don't like this character at all. She, by far, is my... She almost died in one comic, and I was like, thank God she's going to be written off. And the kids, to get attacked by this shark. And believe it or not, I was like, oh my God, because this comic is unpredictable. People die. Main characters die. It's like the Game of Thrones of comics. People that you like. And now look at these little kids are just going nuts, beating up, and but also keep in mind the kids could regenerate. So the parents are like, oh my God, there's a regular kid in the water. You see the hand over here. So Malcolm is just beating the crap out of Mako. I mean, he's a superhero, and he's jumping into action. And who expected Mako to jump out of Lake Toronto? That he's going around fighting everybody, and I thought this was realistic. He's telling him, "I'm going to kill you. You're messing with my kids. I'm going to kill you." And that's a father. That's what dads do. I like to think that if somebody, fortunately, it never happened, but I like to think if anybody messed with us, I'm one of 7. My father would have killed them. Thank God it never happened. My dad was a big, scary guy. Everybody in the neighborhood was scared of my dad. So I guess nobody ever took him up on it. But I do not have children. I have cats. If you mess with my cats, I will kill you. I'll use my superpowers. So, and the art in this comic is a lot better than it has been. So he's literally hitting him with the kitchen sink. She's herding the kids, and here he's using some of his electrical powers. Remember, he can control it. Now, he's turning green over here. Why is he turning green? Because it's been established that Dragon and Savage Dragon and Malcom Dragon, his blood, if his blood mixes with your blood, then you start regenerating, and to the point you start regenerating, and your muscles pop, and you explode and die. So he was eating, he bit the kids, he bit them, and which begs the question, why didn't other supervillains happen to him? But he's a shark, he's eating them. So he actually swallowed Savage Dragon flesh and ingested the blood, Yeah, that's true. Dart and all the other villains don't really eat Savage Dragon, so I take that back. And he's now getting this explosion thing happening, and now he's like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna kill you, and he's freaking out. Mako is just going berserk. She's freaking out, and now she realizes one of the children are missing, and then he blows up. And that's been like a reoccurring story in Savage Dragon. At first they thought his blood was like a panacea that could cure anybody, and people do get healed, like whatever, his alien blood just flushes through, cures your cancer, does everything like that. But then you regenerate so much that your heart actually pops, and blood comes out and you die. So they're trying to figure out how to limit that. There are magic science ways to fixing it. She was about to die, and he magic science and fixed her. I really thought she was going to die at the time. So now one of the kids is missing, which makes me call a little bit of nonsense. Savage Dragon is invincible. He can't be killed. He's like Wolverine on steroids. He should have been at the beach looking for his missing kid. That to me is the only thing. Legs or no legs, you're the father. You go look for the kid. You're superhero. And then they find this kid. Oh, we found your missing kid. They're like, that's not Jackson. Dun, dun, dun. And that's not why I wanted to showcase this comic. One of the things, Big Fanatics is actually a good title for the letters page. I like the letters. This I really liked. He has a lot of backups in his comic. And I think he gives like a nice little showcase for new talent or whatever. And a lot of times it's a miss. This I really enjoyed. And so writer are Alan Brooks, artist Frank Fosco, colors the same team. Butterfly created by Richard Buckler. So I didn't expect this, and I always kind of like roll my eyes at these backups that they're not ready for prime time, but I do appreciate that Eric Larson's giving these people a little bit of exposure, so it is kind of cool. So here it is, Butterfly. Not the art is not my favorite, but something about it I really like. So she's got this butterfly thing, and in this panel she's a jazz singer, and she's talking about this bass player's kind of messing up, and it's messing up her groove like the Disney film. Here she is beaten up, and we don't know what's going on. She's singing the flashback, talking about the music's off. She has a funny line that she's feeling like James. She's feeling like James Taylor instead of James Brown. Yeah, here we go. I'm getting James Taylor instead of James Brown. Both of them are phenomenal musicians, but we could agree that they have a different feel. So she's saying she's fighting and beating the crap out of these people while she's singing. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was neat. I don't know what's going on. Like, it says it was created by Richard Buckler. Is that the famous art? I got to look up Butterfly. I guess it's an older character. Now they're getting a new keyboard player who's making up for the bad bass player, and the music's going fine. And she's like, yeah, this gives me wings. I'm gonna fight crime. I have no idea what's going on, but you know what? It did what it needed to do. It intrigued me that I want to know more. So I hope in the next, I have the next issue, and I read the next issue. There's no butterfly in it. That was like a special 50th anniversary of the creation of the Savage Dragon from Eric Larson's childhood. This was above average issue of the Savage Dragon. It's issues like this that make me stick with the comic. Just when I was almost out, they pulled me back in. Why? Because Eric Larson's a crazy person. He does a couple of unforgivable sins. He's nasty to customers. I'm blocked by this crazy person. I'm probably the only person on the planet that has all 263 issues of Savage Dragon. I've raved about them when they deserved raves. I've complained about them when they deserved claim. I like to think of my many foibles and failures and bad habits and whatever. I like to think that I'm fair. Whatever. This is a person, Eric Larson. He would probably yell and call me an alt-right Nazi and scream at me and whatever, and I would go, well, I'm still a fan of Savage Dragon. Sorry, you soured, you harshened my buzz, but whatever. So I on principle, I shouldn't collect this comic anymore because he does the unforgivable. He's terrible customer service, terrible. He's a terrible salesman, and his one, I don't care that he has his politics. You know, I'm mature enough to understand that not everybody agrees with me. You know, hell, I don't even agree with me half the time. You know, my wife doesn't even agree with me half the time. But, you know, we're adults, we're mature, we figure things out, and we move on. You know, I could see why Eric Larson believes the way he does. You know, I don't think he's a lunatic who has these bizarre political ideas that just because I don't agree, I can understand him. I'm a mature adult. I disagree with him. I don't want to fight with him, and you know, whatever. But he's pre-blocking me and whatever, calling people on my side names like a child, even and that's terrible. How many less customers would make you happy, Eric Larson? You're already down to like less than 2,000 copies of this a month. You know, will it be? Will you be happy when it's down to 500? The 500 of the correct people? I don't know. So that's unforgivable. Second was the explicit sex was just out of left field, and thank God he got that out of his system. And then the third is just like the art swings. Some issues are so bad and scratchy, but I'll forgive. I forgive all of that because of issues like this that it was just a good comic book. I like his continuity. I like his imagination. I like his playfulness with like a negative zones, and like he does multiverse stuff, but I think he does a pretty good deal with it. Like, he doesn't use the multiverse for getting out of consequences and writing himself into a corner, multiverse, and starts all over again. He uses multiverse to kind of explore strange things, and like I think I understand what he's doing. He has like this Image Comics multiverse, and then he kind of like all of his child stuff is in another multiverse or universe, and he has them cross over, and I think it's a good way of explaining like his childish, in the best sense of the word, childhood amateurish ideas and crossing them over to his more adult professional comic book, and I think he did a good job with that. So you know, here I am talking about a guy that probably despises me, that is an absolute lunatic, has some real questionable stuff going on. I wouldn't let him, like Chris Rock said in one of his things, would you let Michael Jackson babysit your children? And Chris Rock said, I wouldn't let Michael Jackson watch my children on TV. I wouldn't let Eric Larson, I don't have any children, but at my figmental children, I wouldn't even let Eric Larson in the house near my kids because of some of the stuff that he did in this comic book. Makes me, like, you know, just wonder, just err on the side of caution. But besides all that, I every month I say I'm going to give it up. I'm not giving it up because this issue I really did enjoy. You know, he's got talent. I just wish he could separate his politics. You know what? I take that back. He can have his politics in this comic. This is his comic. This is his creation. This is his IP. But you know, don't make it so farcical. Try and be a little bit more realistic. Have a guy from the other side who's not a total caricature and goof off. You know, can you do that? Can you grow up a little bit? You know, maybe your comic book will sell 3,000 copies a month. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a crazy person. But there you go. This was my first showcase of Eric Larson, the Crazy Person's comic book called Savage Dragon. And I will say that the first 100 issues or so are phenomenal comics. And I would, if you could get them collected, I think Image Comics keeps the collected edition. You know what? Maybe that's why it's still in coming out. Maybe the collected editions sell. There you go. I don't know. I buy the floppies. So thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you for taking time out of your busy day to watch my silly little videos. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.